everyone, welcome back to my channel. Week 9 of my pregnancy has been very interesting. I feel like I have a lot of things to talk to you about today. Week 9 has just been crazy. My symptoms have completely changed, and we also unfortunately had quite the scare over the weekend, which resulted in me spending some time in the ER. So yeah, lots to talk to you about today, so let me just get right into it. Week 9, baby is the size of a cherry. Food aversions have pretty much gone away. I haven't experienced nearly as many food aversions this week as I have in the previous weeks. For the most part, I'm able to eat mostly anything I was able to pre-pregnancy. Along with that, food cravings, I still have not experienced specific food cravings. I am still very much enjoying fruit more than any other type of food, but I'm not having any cravings for anything in particular. So my symptoms this week, like I said, they have completely changed. It all started when I was 9 weeks and 1 day pregnant. I woke up that morning and it was as though all of my symptoms just disappeared overnight. I didn't feel queasy or nauseous. My dizzy spells went away. I didn't have any breast tenderness anymore. Overall, I just no longer felt pregnant. And I'm sure most people, when they get to that point in their pregnancy where their symptoms start to go away, they probably feel relieved and like happy that they feel like their normal selves. I, however, did not. I panicked. I thought that my sudden loss of symptoms meant something terrible was about to happen, and I just was kind of having this completely uneasy feeling about it all day. It really worried me. The only symptoms that I have experienced during week 9, I'm still getting a bit of fatigue here and there. It's not as intense as it was in those first few weeks. I'm experiencing some mild lower back pain. It's nothing that's too unbearable, but it's there and it's noticeable. The third symptom that is new this week is indigestion. And this is something that has really kicked up its gears within the last few days. In particular, pretty much after I eat anything, I just deal with a lot of indigestion, especially after dinner. And it's just like I have this very, very full feeling, particularly just like up here. It's just like my food is not wanting to digest and it's just stuck up here, and I feel like super full, like I overate even if I didn't, and it causes me to have a lot of burps and regurgitation of my food, and it's just, it's not a very fun thing to experience. And I know I was doing a bit of reading about it, and I know that eating certain types of foods can cause it to be worse, and I am someone who loves very spicy foods. I love Mexican food in particular, is probably one of my favorite things to eat. So I know eating those types of food definitely don't help with the indigestion. I will take some Tums after I eat, but last night in particular, that really didn't help at all. I was just dealing with this indigestion for a good 3.5 hours after I ate dinner. My camera stopped recording there for a second, so I'm not exactly sure where it cut off, but I know I was talking to you about indigestion and how the Tums haven't really helped a whole lot. They kind of take away a little bit of the indigestion, but it doesn't really work like long term. It really only soothes it temporarily, and then it just comes right back up. So if you have any remedies that have worked for you during your pregnancies as far as indigestion goes, let me know in the comments down below. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we had quite a bit of a scare over the weekend. It was Saturday morning. I all of a sudden had a gush of red bleeding happen, and it was bright red blood. It was quite a bit of it. Like I said, it was literally just like a gush that happened, and of course that completely freaked me out. I honestly thought the worst, just because not only was the bleeding happening, but the day before that is when I noticed that all of my pregnancy symptoms went away. So I really thought I was having a miscarriage. So John rushed me to the ER that morning, and thankfully there was no one that happened to be waiting in the ER to be seen, so they were able to see me right away, and they got an ultrasound done right away. So it all happened really quickly, which I'm grateful for. So the doctor came in and started looking around on my abdomen, and immediately he found baby, and baby was there wiggling around and moving, and the heartbeat was there and strong, and everything as far as the ultrasound goes looked really good. And so the doctor just wanted to run some blood work just to make sure that my hormone levels and everything are okay. So they did that, and everything came back normal. So basically they just sent me home with unexplained bleeding, and they encouraged me to follow up with my doctor within a few days just to have another ultrasound and make sure that everything was okay. Whenever you go to the ER, they always send you home with like your discharge paper with your diagnosis, so to speak. So they didn't really have an explanation for me. So they put unexplained bleeding with threatened miscarriage. And basically this paper said, we don't know if you're going to miscarry or not, but you are pregnant and you're having bleeding and you've experienced some cramping, so we don't really know what's going to happen. And even though we saw baby on the ultrasound and everything looked good, I still left the ER with this really uneasy feeling about everything. But I was grateful that we did get to see baby, and that at that moment of the ultrasound, everything looked good. On Tuesday, I had a follow-up appointment with my OB. I was 9 weeks and 6 days pregnant that day, so they ended up just doing my 10-week ultrasound that day. So I had my full 10-week checkup that day, even though I wasn't quite 10 weeks yet, but it was close enough. So they did another ultrasound, and baby once again was looking great, and baby is measuring right on track. That day was measuring 9 weeks and 6 days, so exactly what I was that day. I'll probably insert some footage from that appointment. Baby's heart was beating really well. I think the heart rate was around 180 that day. And during the hospital, actually, when I was in the ER, the heart rate was averaging 162, I think. So yeah, everything with the baby looked great. Baby looked so much bigger and so much more like a baby than it did even just 2 weeks ago. I just love being able to have these ultrasounds and see the changes in the growth each visit. It's just so exciting. So during my follow-up ultrasound with my OB, they did find a very small subchorionic hematoma right near where the placenta is growing. So that explains why I had the bleeding on Saturday. And my doctor explained to me that it's a very, very small subchorionic hematoma, and the fact that it's very small and for the most part my bleeding had stopped, he wasn't really concerned about it. He said it was probably just that one day that I had bleeding, and now it's starting to heal and resolve itself. And since everything looked good and it was so small, he said I don't have to be on any sort of bed rest or anything like that. So I'm so grateful for that, and I am glad that we actually ended up getting an explanation for why I had the bleeding. As far as my loss of symptoms, basically he just said as the placenta grows and starts to take over, my hormone levels kind of balance out and symptoms start to become less intense. So it was just a coincidence that I had the bleeding right around the time I had a loss of my symptoms. I'm glad that we have an explanation for all of that now, and it was very scary, I'm not going to lie. It was just terrifying to me when I saw the amount of blood that was coming out of me, and it just kind of brought me back to the time when I miscarried 2.5 years ago, and it was just scary. And I am beyond grateful that everything seems to be okay and that baby is still growing and thriving and getting bigger and bigger each week. So the next time we see baby will actually be when we find out if we are having a girl or a boy. So I know a lot of people wait until they have the anatomy scan when they're between 20 and 22 weeks pregnant. So that for me would be sometime in November, like the 2nd or 3rd week of November, or I think it's the 1st or the 2nd week of November that I would be in that range. And I am just so anxious to find out. I honestly do not want to wait until that time. I want to find out sooner. So I think what we are going to do is we're going to go to one of those 3D, 4D ultrasound places and find out at around 15 weeks instead. So that would be towards the end of September. So I will keep you all updated on that, and of course share the results with you shortly after. But I cannot wait to find out what we are having. Yeah, I'm so excited for that. So that about does it for my 9-week pregnancy update. I will probably insert a bump shot right here, and let me know if you can tell the difference between this week's bump date and last week's. I definitely feel like I'm starting to get bigger in my belly. I have definitely more fullness, and my clothes are starting to fit more and more tight than they have in the previous weeks. So it's nearing the time for me to probably start looking at least maternity pants and maternity leggings, because certain clothes are just not very comfortable anymore. If you are in your 9th week of pregnancy, let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling and if you've experienced anything similar to what I've experienced this week. Before I wrap up the video, actually, I wanted to let you know that I will not be posting a video next week. I'm going to be traveling to spend time with family, so I just wanted to be able to focus on that and spending time with them, and not trying to film and edit a video while I'm there. So my week 10 and 11 pregnancy update will be combined in one video the following week. That's all of the update I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video in just a couple of weeks. Bye.